Hi and welcome to a new video. So I mostly have been doing reading vlogs and some like cozy daily life vlogs, and I'm still enjoying and will continue to film those videos, but I thought in this video we would do something a little bit different. So recently I have been browsing through and looking up September new releases, and as I was looking through the Goodreads list, I realized that there are a lot of like popular authors coming out with new releases. So I thought why not film a video and kind of like do a ranking of books that I want to add on my TBR and books that I absolutely do not want to add on my TBR. Okay, so let's go through the categories. The first tier ranking are must read books. So these are books that are highly anticipated for me, and I want to immediately pick them up or, you know, put them on hold in my library as soon as they're released. And then the next tier are books that I will read. So these are books that I'm interested to read, just not immediately. I will eventually get to them. And then the next tier are books that I might read. These are books that sound interesting, so I will put them on my mental TBR to pick up at a later time. And then the next tier are books that I might not read. These are books that I probably will not pick up, but I don't want to say that I'm never gonna pick them up, but there's a high chance that I'm not gonna read these books. And then the last tier are books that I will not read. So it's not gonna be on my TBR, and just books that I feel like I'm almost 100% sure that I'm not going to read. So we're gonna go through the new releases that are listed on Goodreads. And I did already kind of skim and vet through the books because there's like probably over 100 books, and I don't want to be spending like 2-3 hours going through all these books. So I did cut it down to around 60 books. So the books that are added into the list are books by authors that I know and have heard of, and if the book covers look interesting to me. Okay, guys, so the first book on the list is The Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the sixth book in the Blood and Ash series. All I know is that this is a romantasy. I think there are, correct me if I'm wrong, like maidens and a bodyguard or something. I have not read this series. So because this is the sixth book, and I've heard mixed reviews, but I believe that even if I do end up picking this series, I doubt I'm gonna reach the sixth book. So I think we have to put this one in either might not read or will not read. Let's be nice for the first one. Let's put it in might not. The next book is Wildcard by Elsie Silver. This is the fourth book in a contemporary romance series. I know this author has another popular cowboy romance series. This is a different series. I think there's a bit of cowboy, but not as much as the other series, and I think people don't enjoy this series as much. I I'm not a romance hater, but in my current season of reading, I'm not gravitating towards romance books that much. So I'm not sure that I would read this. So I might have to put this one in will not read, because even if I do pick up a romance, I probably won't read like a cowboy romance book. No offense to people who enjoy cowboy romance. I just don't think I'm the target audience. So it goes to will not read. Next book is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I think this is a spin off of Divine Rivals duology. I have read that duology and I enjoyed the two books, but I wouldn't necessarily say like there are five-star books to me. I think I will eventually read this. I've heard good things about people who read the arc for Wild Reverence, but it's not a book that I want, like I'm highly anticipating. So I'll put this in will read. Okay, next is The Gingerbread Bakery, Dream Harbor, book number 5 by Laurie Gilmore. I believe this is a small town romance, and every book is set in that specific town, I believe. I will probably not read this, so I actually tried to read The Christmas Tree by this author, and it was fine, but again, I don't think I'm like the target audience. I think I prefer like romance by like Ellie Hazelwood or like something with more like comedy. Okay, this next book sounds quite interesting. This is Tourist Season by Breen Weaver. The reason why I think this is interesting is because it has romance, but there is like a murder mystery and morally gray characters. So I'm gonna put this in might read. I'm kind of interested in it, but not 100%. Okay, the next one is another romantasy. This is What Fury Brings by Trisha Levenseller. I put this on the list because I think I've heard of this author. What has she written? Oh, yeah, she wrote Daughter of the Pirate Queen King. Sorry, Daughter of the Pirate King. I have not read this series, but I've heard about it. I think it's YA fantasy. I should definitely check out that. But that's why I put it on the list because I've heard of the author. I'm not sure why the rating's pretty low on Goodreads actually. It's only 3.69. Oh, I remember why I put it on the list now. Because just reading the summary, it's about like how in this world the men are like getting extinct. So in order for women to like get a husband, they have to kidnap a man. So if you want like a good husband, then you gotta kidnap like somebody powerful. So the main character, she plans to kidnap the second born prince of an enemy kingdom, but things don't go the way she expects, and I think she kidnaps the heir of the kingdom. I just thought it's funny that, the woman has to kidnap a man in order to marry them. So I think I'm gonna put this in my read. Okay, moving on. The next book is The Impossible Fortune. This is the Thursday Murder Club, book number 5 by Richard Osman. I have not read this series yet, but I'm quite interested. But this is book 5, so I have 4 books to read before getting to this one. So I don't know. I'm gonna put it in might not read since it's the 5th book. Okay, next on the list, The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand. I have not read anything by this author, and honestly, I don't think I'm the target audience. But I add this book on the list just because I know a lot of people enjoy her books and a lot of people read her books. So, but for me, it's gonna go in will not read. Okay, the next book is Soul Searching by Laila Sage. Okay, this author wrote the Rebel Blue Ranch series, which I have been seeing people talk about that series a lot. So I guess this is her new series. I don't know if it's connected to the other series. I believe these are also cowboy romance books. Again, I don't really read cowboy romance, so I haven't really gotten into the genre yet. But I will say her book covers really caught my attention. Like I find them really interesting. So I don't know. I actually might put this in might read just because of the cover. Okay, we finally reach a book that I'm actually highly anticipating. This is We Love You, Bunny. which is the second book of Bunny. I really enjoyed reading Bunny. It was a really weird experience reading that, but overall, I really enjoyed that. So I will put it in must read. Okay, moving on. The next book is Fake Skating by Lean Painter. I read Better Than the Movies, which is another YA contemporary romance book. I enjoyed that one, but I read that like when did that book come out? 2021. So like a few years ago, and I feel like again in the season of my life right now, I'm not really reaching towards a romance book. I'm going to put this in might not read. Next book is Thief of Night by Holly Black. This is the second book in her Book of Night series. I enjoy reading the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black, but I haven't heard too many good things about Book of Night. So I haven't read Book of Night. Even though I haven't heard good things, I'm still very, very interested to read her adult fantasy. So I'm gonna put this in will read because I'm pretty sure I will eventually get to this book. The next one is Among the Burning Flowers. This is The Roots of Chaos, book number zero point 0.5 by Samantha Shannon. Um, I guess this means it's a prequel. I actually have not read The Priory of the Orange Tree. I'm very, very interested to read Priory of the Orange Tree. It's just that it's really long, so I'm a little bit intimidated. But I'm sure I will eventually read the book. But I'm not sure if I will read Among the Burning Flowers just because it's the prequel. So I'm gonna put in might read just because I'm not 100% sure. Next one is Fearful, the Powerless Trilogy number 3.5 by Lauren Roberts. This YA fantasy series is very, very popular, but I have yet to read it. And honestly, I actually don't feel interested to read the series. I'm more interested to see how I feel about the series once I read it, but the story itself, I don't feel like drawn to read it. I'm gonna put this in no, 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 might not read. Because who knows, one day I might get the urge to read the series and I might read it, but I don't know. This is like the novella or something, right? So I don't know if I will read this. Okay, next one is Alchemist by Sen Lin Yu. I know that this started as a Harry Potter fanfiction for Draco Malfoy and Hermione. Again, another one. These fanfiction books are starting to get a lot of traction. I'm very interested to try this out. So this is gonna go in will read. The next one is another romance. This is People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. This is an author that I've heard people talk about, but again, this is contemporary romance, and so I might want to try this author one day. I just don't know when, so I'll put it in my read actually. The next book is Picture Perfect, the fourth book in a contemporary romance series by Tessa Bailey. Looks like this is a sports romance book. I probably will not read this, but I've heard of Tessa Bailey. That's why I put her on the list because other people might be interested to read her books. The next book is A Steeping of Blood. This is the second book in the Blood and Tea fantasy series, I think, by Hafsa Faisal. I have not read Blood and Tea. I'm not sure if I'm gonna read this series, to be honest. But it does have vampires, and I like books with vampires, so let's put it in might read. Okay, moving on. Next is Eldritch by Carrie Lake, the second book of another romantasy series. I think I've heard of this. Isn't the first book like have like dark academia vibes or something? Yeah, dark fantasy, sorry. Dark fantasy with dark academia vibes, I believe. So I'm actually very interested to try it. It's rated pretty high on Goodreads. Like the first book, 4.22 stars. And this book 4.44 stars. So but it better not be like another like Zodiac Academy. I'll put it in will read. Which I admit Zodiac Academy is very addictive, but The story is no comment. Okay, so I see a lot of like fall autumn theme contemporary romance books that are coming out. So the next one is one of those. The title is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. The cover is pretty. It's very, very autumnal vibes cover. People might pick this book up just for the cover, but I would probably not read this. The next book is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I'm very, very curious about this author. I've been seeing like some of her books. They're very like paranormal with mystery and bit of horror. I'll put it in might read right now. Wait, or should I put in will read? Let's put in will read. I think I will eventually read this. Next book is another fantasy. It is the fourth book in this Woven Kingdom series by Tahera Mafi. I think she wrote the what is the Shadow Me series. I read the first three books. I enjoyed it. It's YA dystopian. Do I think it's the most amazing book? Probably not, but I did quite enjoy that series, and I do want to read this other series by her, so I'll put it in will read. Next is Hot Wax by M.L. Rio. This author is known for writing If We Were Villains. I haven't read anything by this author yet, but I know I will eventually read If We Were Villains. I have a physical copy of that book, so I might want to pick that up during fall. I'm gonna put Hot Wax in might read because I don't know yet if I'm gonna read this book. The next book on the list is A Land So Wide by Erin A. Craig. I like this author, so it's gonna go in will read. She writes a lot of like kind of small town mystery with magical realism or a little bit of fantasy, witchy vibes, gothic vibes, and I like the way she writes. I think she does a good job in setting the atmosphere, so I really, really want to read more books by her. The next on this list is Witch of the Wolves by Kaylee Archer. I saw Witch and Wolves in the title, and that's why I add this book on the list. It says here Witch of the Wolves is perfect for fans of A Court of Thorns and Roses and From Blood and Ash. Main character is a powerful witch who discovers she is the daughter of an alpha werewolf and is taken by his pack. She's determined to break free, all the while denying her attraction to her abductor. I'm gonna put this in my read. This sounds like one of those, there's a lot of like fan fiction books about alpha werewolves and I don't know, Lunas. Okay, let's move on because this video is getting really long. Next book is Spellcaster by Jamin Eve. It says that Spellcaster is an intense enemies to lovers romantasy with steamy heat, magical creatures, fast pacing, and stakes that will keep you hooked. Perfect if you love Who Hurt You, Slow Burn, Enemies to Lovers, Elemental Magic, Dark Academia. Sounds interesting. I don't know. It's gonna be in might read or might not read. Maybe let's put it in might read. Let's give this author a chance. Next book is Guilty by Definition by Susie Den. All I know about this book is that it's set in Oxford, England, and it's a mystery slash thriller. I'm gonna put this, I don't know, might read, probably. Okay, next book is Sisters in the Wind by Angeline Bowley. I've heard of her other book, Firekeeper's Daughter. This looks like a contemporary fiction, and it's not a genre that I gravitate towards, but I think some people might be interested to read this. But I don't know. I think it's gonna go in might not read for me. The next one is on the list because of the cover. It has a pretty cover. This is The Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O. Clover. This looks like a small town romance. Not too sure. But I thought the cover is pretty and some people might be interested to read this. I'm gonna put this in might not read. The next book is The Sleepless by Jen Williams. I've heard of this author. I haven't read anything by them. I'm interested to read The Ninth Reign by this author. I've heard really, really good things about that fantasy series, so I want to try that. I just don't know if I'm going to read this book because I want to start with their backlist first. So I'm going to put this in might read. Okay, next book is The Austen Affair by Madeleine Bell. This sounds interesting because there is a time travel. Two modern day actors, co stars, accidentally travel back in time to the Regency era. So sounds like it might be a rom-com but with a historical setting. It sounds interesting to be honest, but I just don't feel like I would read this, but I'm sure there's gonna be people who would enjoy this book. The next book is on this list also because the cover looks pretty. This is Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola. I believe this is a contemporary fiction. Oh yeah, there's romance as well and second chance. So if you like second chance romance and fiction, you might enjoy this. It has a pretty high ratings on Goodreads. But I feel like I might not read it. So it goes in might not read. Okay, next book is Ladies in Hating. This is a sapphic romance with like is it enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers? Oh, and it's actually the third book in a series and it has a historical setting. It looks like in a Regency era sort of book. So if you're interested in that, you should pick it up, but you know, me and romance. Me and contemporary romance because I will read like a paranormal slash fantasy romance book. Next one is a mystery thriller series. It's the third book. It's Other People's Houses by Claire McIntosh. I've heard of this author. I don't know if people enjoy her books or not, but I've seen like her books around. So that's why I put it on the list. It will go in will not read for me. Next book on the list is a belladonna novella, Holly by Adeline Grace. I ate up the Belladonna series, so it's going in my must read. I feel like very unpopular opinion. A lot of people like the first book and then they gradually lost interest in books 2 and 3. For me, I was the opposite. I thought the first book was okay, and then I got more interested in the second book, and third book was pretty much fan service book to me because I think the story and plot is a little weak, but I didn't care because I just love the characters in the third book. So it was just a fan service book for me. Yeah, I definitely will be picking up Holly. The next one is the Honey Crisp Orchid Inn. It's another one of those like small town romance books. I thought other people might be interested to read that, but not for me. The next book is What Stalks the Deep by T. Kingfisher. This is her, is it like mystery thriller horror series? Because I heard people say that every book that she writes feels like it's written by a different author. Because I have read Tornhage by her and I thought it was just like okay. It wasn't like a favorite book. I definitely want to read more by her. I'm gonna put this in my read just because it's the third book, so I have to get through the first two books first. Okay, we have another romance. This is Girl Next Door by Rachel Meredith. Thought the cover was kind of striking, so I put this on this list. But for me personally, will not read. Guys, I accidentally forgot to hit record on my iPad, so I had to like quickly redo all the tier ranking. So if you see some glitches or weird things on the video, that's why. Okay, so let's continue. The next book is The Maiden and Her Monster by Maddie Martinez. It says here this is a gorgeous, atmospheric debut fantasy that reimagines the Jewish myth of Gollum in a tale rooted in history, folklore, and sapphic romance. And it says here the forest eats the girls who wander out after dark. I always enjoy this type of atmospheric books, so I'm gonna put in might read. Okay, next book is Circle of Days by Ken Follett. I've heard of this author. What is his famous book? Let me see. Oh, Pillars of the Earth. I don't know if this is fantasy or historical fiction, but this author is pretty popular. I don't know if I'll read this. I'm gonna put it in might not read. The next book is The Wasp Trap by Mark Edwards. This sounds really interesting actually. Let me read this sentence on Goodreads. It says a dinner party in a beautiful Notting Hill townhouse turns into a sinister game as six old friends are forced to spill their darkest secrets or else. So this is a thriller mystery about six friends in London. I don't know, sounds interesting to me. I'll put it in my read. Next on the list is No Rest for the Wicked by Rachel Louise Adams. This is a debut novel. It's another mystery thriller but centered around Halloween. Well, it's set in a town that's Halloween obsessed. I think I'm going to put this one in my read. Another mystery thriller book, Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McAuley. It says here it's a Midsummer Night's Scream in this blood-soaked thriller set at a remote healing retreat. I'm gonna put this in my read. The next one is a, I think, YA contemporary romance. This is You Found Oliver by Dustin Tao. I'm gonna try to go through this a bit quicker because my voice is I'm losing my voice. Okay, next book, House of Rain by Harley LaRox. This is a standalone sapphic gothic romance with mystery, the supernatural, and plenty of spice. I don't know. We'll go on my read. And the next one is a historical fiction. This is I Am You by Victoria Redel. Personally, not a book I would reach for, but I thought some people might be interested, especially if you read fiction. It says here it's a book that touches on time, politics, art, history, class, women's rights. So it might be something that you might be interested in reading. The next one is To Clutch a Razor by Veronica Roth. This is the second book in the Curse Bearer series, but the first book is a novella. So I think, is this a novella as well? I have the first book on my physical TBR, so I will eventually get to this book. I've heard good things. The next book on the list is, I think I forgot to add this book, so let me add it really quick. Okay, so the book that I forgot to add was The Summer War by Naomi Novik. I've read one book by Naomi, it's Uprooted, and I enjoyed that book, but I will say towards the end it felt like it was getting too long. This one is a short novella actually. It's about a young witch who accidentally cursed her brother to live a life without love. So she has to find a way to undo the spell. Sounds interesting. I probably will read it. I will eventually get to all her books. Guys, I think I put too many books on this list, but we're getting there. We're almost done, kinda. The next book is Thorn Season by Kira Azar. Very quickly, it says Thorn Season is sharp, funny, sexy, and dangerous, and packed full of irresistible twists. An unforgettable novel that marks the introduction of a major new YA voice and will be the romantasy debut of 2025. Very high ratings on Goodreads. This is 4.25 stars. Again, we will always see these books mentioned. It says it's for fans of Fourth Wing and A Court of Thorn and Roses. I'm interested. We'll have to see like what other people think about this book before I pick it up. You know what? I'm gonna put it in the front of my read actually. The next book is Hecate. It's a retelling of the Greek goddess Hecate. I don't know, I'm probably saying her name wrong. I'm sorry. I've never been really into like Greek mythology retelling. I probably will not read this book. I still have to read Circe by Madeline Miller. That book is like turning brown on my shelf. Okay, the next book, it's not one I would gravitate towards. This is the Book of Guilt by Catherine Schittke. But it sounds like it might be a good book. It's rated very high on Goodreads, 4.43 stars. This is fiction with a bit of dystopia and science fiction. I don't even know how to explain the summary of this book. I guess this is about three boys who are in this like government home and being watched by people. Their lives are being monitored and watched by the government. I don't know for what purpose. I guess we'll find out as we read the book. But I thought it sounds not something I would gravitate towards, but at the same time, it sounds interesting. So I'm gonna put it in might read. Okay, next on the list, The Ever Queen by L.J. Andrews, second book in the Everseas series, another romantasy book. I think this author is starting to get noticed. Definitely heard their books being recommended by, romantasy book YouTubers. I'm not too sure if I'm going to read this series. I'm gonna put it in might not read. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who enjoy their series. And the next one is another mystery thriller. Is called Bad Things Happen in This Room by Mary Steele. It's a psychological horror book. I think the main female character, she is like trapped in her home by her husband, or maybe it's all in her head or something. I'm not sure. It is rated very high on Goodreads, 4.45 stars. Should I read it? We'll put it might read. The next book on the list is Uncharmed by Lucy Jane Wood. This is a must read for me because I really enjoyed her other book, Rewitch. It's just the perfect cozy witchy fantasy book for me. I'm starting to find that maybe cozy fantasy is not for me. However, this book worked for me. So I'm really excited to read something else by this author. And the cover is just perfect for autumn. The next book is Wicked Beast by Shelley Lee Crane. So this book is a gothic paranormal romance inspired by Beauty and the Beast and the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sounds like a book that I would usually gravitate towards, so I'm gonna put in might read and maybe higher on the list. Yep. I'm gonna move Bad Things Happen down. The next book is a second book in another romantasy series. This is Princess of Blood by Sarah Hawley. It's the second book in the Shards of Magic. I don't know what this book is about, but now I'm interested to read it. The first book is Servant of Earth, and it says that there's Fae and there's trials. The main character is human, but I guess she has to go through some trials and she has to survive in the Fae court. I'm gonna add the first book on my TBR because it actually sounds really interesting. So, should I put it in might read? Because I have to read the first book first to see if I'm gonna enjoy this series. So, we'll put it in might read. The next book is Road Trip with a Vampire. This is the third book in My Vampires series by Jenna Levine. It's a romantic comedy with, a paranormal twist. I have been very, very interested to read this series actually. So I'm gonna put in will read. It sounds like my kind of romance, which is not just straight contemporary romance. It has, that paranormal twist. Okay, there's a lot of romance and romantasy that I didn't add on the list. Okay, the next one I added is House of Hearts by Skyla Arndt. This author wrote Together We Rot, and her covers all look very like gothic, dark fantasy. So in House of Hearts, the main character is trying to solve the murder of her best friend, And in order to do that, she has to infiltrate this like secret society in like this fancy school. So this has dark academia vibes, secret societies, a murder mystery that they have to solve, and probably some fantasy elements. So right up my alley, to be honest. This is my type of book, so it's gonna go on will read. Okay, the next book I also forgot to add, so let me add that book real quick. Okay, so the next book on the list is The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. I'm actually really anticipating this book. I've heard really good things. Don't know what is it about, to be honest. It says here The Second Death of Locke is a devastatingly romantic epic fantasy and about the undying bond between a knight and their mage, perfect for fans of Gideon of the Ninth and the Six Deaths of the Saint. I've not read Gideon of the Ninth. It's on my physical TBR, but I have read Six Deaths of the Saint and I enjoyed that book. So, and again, I've heard really good things about this, so I think I'm gonna put it in must read. I'm just so curious to try this book out. I'm definitely gonna put it on hold immediately at the library. Okay, the next two books are, they look like cozy fantasy books. Cozy fantasy is a bit of a hit and miss for me, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna put this in my read. Oh, let me tell you the titles. It's The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake by Rachel Linden. And then the other cozy fantasy book is The Nanny's Handbook to Magic and Managing Difficult Dukes by Amy Rose Bennett. The next one is The Ruling Class by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. She writes a lot of YA mystery thriller books. I have read the first three books in the Inheritance games. I enjoyed them, but I can feel like now I'm not super into YA mystery books, but she's a very popular author and I'm sure a lot of people want to read her books. So I don't want to say that I'm not going to read it, but is it might read or is it might not read? I'm just gonna put in might read for now, because who knows, maybe one day I'll circle back and want to read a YA mystery book. The next book, okay, we're almost done. The next book is Bitten by Jordan Stephanie Gray. It says here Crescent City meets Fourth Wing in this fast paced and romantic debut in which a teenage girl must survive ruthless werewolves, a glittering court, and deadly politics to exact revenge on the monsters who destroyed her. This goes in my read. Cause I don't know, all these books are starting to be like very similar to each other, all these like romantasy books. But if it's written well, I will still read them. Oh, and it says for fans of forbidden romance, enemies to lovers, werewolves, and paranormal romance. Okay, third last book, Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis. The reason why I add this book is because the cover reminds me of Twilight. Isn't there a Twilight cover with that pomegranate thing? Or maybe I'm remembering wrong. But this one is about werewolves, but it still gives me Twilight vibes. I don't know. I'm gonna put in might, yeah, might read. The second last book is The Dead of Summer by Ryan La Sala. It says here Stephen King meets Holly Jackson by way of We Were Liars in this action packed story of queer horror from the acclaimed author of The Honeys. I've not read anything by this author yet. So, this is a horror, YA, queer contemporary mystery fiction book. So, if it sounds like it's something you're interested in reading, do check it out. I'm gonna put in might read. And we finally made it to the last book. Last book is Make Me a Monster by Kaylin Barron. Another horror, YA, fantasy, mystery, paranormal book. It says here Mika or Mecca is used to death. After all, it's her family business. Mecca thought she understood death better than anyone. Turns out the family business is a bit more complicated than it seems, and Mecca isn't the only one desperate to unearth their secrets, because the truth may be worth dying for. Sounds interesting. We're gonna put in might read. Okay, guys, so we just went through 66 books. I'm sure there's a lot more books coming out that I didn't mention, but I thought these were the books that people are most anticipating for, or they have heard of these authors and are interested to try. I respect people who do these tier videos because I just realized how difficult it is, and I've never talked this much in a while. As an introvert, I barely talk to people, so now I'm about to lose my voice. I need to make a cup of hot honey and hopefully my throat will feel better. But I had a lot of fun doing this video, and it's fun to look at the list and see like what I really want to read and what I'm not interested to read. Definitely a lot of books in books that I might read, like maybe books, just because they're authors that I haven't heard of or they're debut books or they're like part of a series, and I will have to read like books prior in the series before getting to these books. Definitely a lot more romance in Will Not Read, but I will never say like I will 100% never read these books because never say never. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm curious to see what new releases in September that you guys are highly anticipating, what you're gonna put on your TBR, what books I didn't talk about that you would recommend that I try out. And thank you so much again for clicking on this video and joining me as I create my tier ranking of all the new releases that are coming out in September. My next video will be back to another cozy reading vlog. Thank you again so much, and I will see you guys next time.